projects authored by Kojima have always impressed with their non-standard gameplay, inventive game mechanics, and large-scale plots. Several generations of gamers grew up on his games. Today we will remember the best works of Hideo Kojima, from the old-school Policenauts to the legendary Metal Gear franchise. The game Snatcher, released in 1988 on the PC, 88, and MSX2 platforms, was one of the first works of Hideo Kojima. The game was set in a futuristic world that was clearly inspired by the Blade Runner movie. In it, we were asked to fight humanoid robots that killed people and replaced them with themselves. Fans of Kojima's work agreed that the story of Snatcher felt the most coherent compared to other works by the author. However, the gameplay, which consisted entirely of numerous menus, and the overall linearity of the story did not leave the most pleasant impression. Policenauts is considered one of the most creative visual novels in the history of the genre. In another science fiction from Kojima, we get the role of Jonathan Ingram, an astronaut who, after an accident, drifted in space in a cryochamber for a quarter of a century, and then returned to Earth. The plot tells about the investigation into the murder of Jonathan's ex-wife. In its release year, Policenauts received many accolades for its voice acting, unique art style, and overall atmosphere. However, the game was also criticized for its abundance of smutty jokes, the slow pace of the story, and the inability to skip most of the dialogue. PT, Hideo Kojima, together with the famous horror director Guillermo del Toro, were to jointly release the 9th part in the main Silent Hill line. However, shortly after Kojima's dismissal from Konami in 2015, the long-awaited game was also canceled. But before that, we managed to see PT, playable teaser, a small example of the direction in which the new part of Silent Hill could go. Despite the fact that the project was a short teaser, critics and casual gamers alike praised its graphics, sound design, and immersive atmosphere. It was so popular with players that it was downloaded over 1 million times before Konami decided to remove the title from the PlayStation Store. Death Stranding was Kojima's first game since he left Konami. During the development phase, the project caused an unprecedented stir in the gaming community as it involved a longtime friend of Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro. Moreover, the game designer managed to attract well-known Hollywood actors to the main roles, including Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, and Lee Seydoux, not to mention numerous cameos. The already finished game was praised for its soundtrack, vast world, and non-standard idea. The meditative gameplay of Death Stranding was loved by many, but players often criticized the overloaded and intricate plot, as well as boring missions. Metal Gear Solid. It is difficult to surpass the original MGS, which was released in 1998 and showed the rich creative potential of Hideo Kojima. In it, we played as Solid Snake, a soldier who was sent to the heart of a terrorist organization in order to prevent a nuclear attack. At first, the plot seemed frankly ridiculous, but as it progressed, it became more and more complicated and interesting. Add in cinematic cutscenes, stunning graphics for the time, and gameplay that set new standards for the genre, and it becomes clear why MGS is considered one of the best games in the entire industry. Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker. Developed exclusively for the PlayStation Portable, Peace Walker focused on the mission of a mercenary squad led by Big Boss in Costa Rica. The main innovation of the game was the cooperative multiplayer, using the features of the handheld console from Sony. Peace Walker has received a lot of positive feedback from specialized publications and ordinary players. Reviewers noted the outstanding plot, in which the best elements from the previous parts were collected and brought to the ideal. Unfortunately, the title failed to repeat the financial success of past games, and the fading popularity of the PSP console was to blame. Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. Kojima fans had high hopes for MGS2, a direct sequel to the original MGS. Fortunately, the game lived up to all expectations and delighted fans with better graphics and improved stealth gameplay. In its release year, the game was criticized for being overly ambitious as it explored themes of censorship, artificial intelligence, historical revisionism, existentialism, and social engineering. But precisely because the game explored the interconnection of all these concepts, MGS2 has not lost its relevance even 2 decades after the release. Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater. Snake Eater, which turned out to be a prequel to the entire Metal Gear franchise, told the story of the rise of Naked Snake, known in later games as Big Boss. The action of the title takes place 31 years before the events of the first Metal Gear and sends us to the dense forests of the USSR. This setting is very different from industrial scenes from other parts of Metal Gear. Despite the radical change of scenery, Snake Eater is still dedicated to spy missions to infiltrate enemy bases and collect secret information. Fans of the franchise warmly welcomed the game, noting its worthy story, memorable dialogues, and a very emotional final battle. Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots. Guns of the Patriots is dedicated to the confrontation between the aged Solid Snake and his longtime opponent. This is the 6th game in the main line, and it is remembered not only for its fascinating plot, but also for completely redesigned game mechanics like the camouflage system and controls. The changes benefited the project. As a result, Guns of the Patriots received high marks from specialized publications for its dynamic cutscenes, touching story, and innovative gameplay. The Phantom Pain was the last game in the series that Hideo Kojima worked on. Its plot focuses on the adventures of Venom Snake, and it tells about the events that took place 9 years after the finale of MGS. Ground Zeroes, a prologue involving Big Boss. The Phantom Pain was waiting for universal recognition. Many praised the open-world design, rich and varied gameplay, excellent acting, and increased player freedom. Some critics even compared the staging and acting to big-budget films and TV shows. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write in the comments. Thanks for watching. Join this channel to get access to perks. Subscribe, watch our other videos, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today.